So, hi, I was prompted today by the Holy Spirit to share something that actually I've been thinking about sharing for quite some time now, and it is about how churches tend to fake the Holy Spirit. So, I remember when I came to this church as a new Christian that has just been converted, they were actually very nice people. They showed their most positive traits, and it was very hard not to like them. They were always cheerful and always ready to help, and so on. So I tended to get a bit, at ease and wasn't that alert. And that was my problem. Because while I was believing everything they said, because I couldn't really think about them being bad or having some ulterior motives, um, they were actually plotting as to how they will find out certain private things about me and then manipulate me by using that knowledge. So they would do it in this way. And there was a pastor of that church and his wife and son. And they would talk about among themselves as to how they will convert a certain person and so on, which is manipulation in itself. But I didn't realize how spread that was in the church. So while I was doing what I thought I should be doing to serve God, they would try to draw certain informations from me that they would use later on. And I was quite unaware at the time because I trusted them. But they were collecting informations, not only that family that was in charge of that church, but also through their agents that were scattered around the church as well. So when you would speak to one person and he tells you something which sounds very familiar, and you have a feeling that it could only be given to you by the Holy Spirit since it's very intimate and very close to you, they were already, you know, gossiping about you behind your back and sharing information about you among themselves. And they send their agents to you in order for you to think that that is actually the church of God and that you are serving Him and not people, when the truth is actually the other way around. So you may be wondering, how is it possible for a person to be that deceived? How come you didn't realize it at the beginning? And they're right, I should have. But first of all, I was, quite um, naive when it came to people. I spent my entire life trying to cater to their needs, and I was a people pleaser, as you have seen in one of my previous videos. So even though I had an encounter with God, my primary concern was still at the time as to how to, uh, cater to people's needs and not to His. And that was my mistake. And that's why I was uh, deluded. And secondly, you will be surprised at how many people are in those churches who don't have the Holy Spirit. They are very good at pretending they have Him in their lives, but they don't. So they're easily manipulated, or they're there to manipulate others for their own benefit. And also, I was able to see how it was done. They would speak among themselves as to how they're going to manipulate certain members of the church in accepting Christ. So they would resort to all sorts of manipulative tactics as to what to say, what to do, all with the ultimate goal for that person to say that they accepted Christ. And those people that accept Christ under these conditions, they don't know who Christ actually is, because they're given a false image of him. They don't know whom they serve, and they don't know what they must do to be his. So they're members of the church. They're not his children. And they must know that. If one has to resort to manipulation in order to bring someone to Christ, that person is doomed. The one that is trying to manipulate, and the one that thinks they have accepted Christ when in fact they have nothing to do with him. It's, people, this is bad. It's not how it's done. You must tell the truth, and only the truth. The Holy Spirit is the Spirit of truth. And they would also do something which was horrifying to me at the time, and is even more horrifying now, because they would even use these tactics in order to make people to be baptized when they weren't ready, just to gain members of the church, because when you were baptized, you were automatically a member of the church, so that you could vote for people that try to manipulate you into the baptism in the first place. They wanted votes. They wanted you to vote for them. They couldn't care less if you belong to Christ or not. That wasn't their intention. And also, they would even manipulate certain people to not get baptized. So I remember this lady, she was, deterred from being baptized. She had really a strong desire to be baptized and to belong to Christ. And they turned her away. They said that she wasn't ready. So you see how arrogant that is, people. They stopped her from being baptized in water and from belonging to Christ. And Jesus showed me all of this. And he said to me, if you stay in this church, you are either going to serve, you're going to serve people. So now it's time to make a decision. You're either going to serve people, or you're going to leave and serve me. And I chose him. Thank God. Me and my boyfriend both left that church because it was so manipulative and so wicked. So my advice is, especially if you're a new Christian, please go humble yourself before Jesus Christ and ask him about all of this. And he will tell you what you have to do and how you have to protect yourself. But it is a high probability that he won't send you to churches. So please pray to him and seek his guidance. May Jesus bless you.